Most people believed they understood the clear boundary between Hollywood illusion and the serious, disciplined world of federal law enforcement. One world was built on bright lights, applause, and carefully crafted performances. The other operated behind locked gates and classified documents, where the smallest mistake could cost lives. At the Federal Bureau of Investigation training facilities, especially at the secure compound in Quantico, Virginia, only the most highly trained professionals were trusted to handle the pressures of life or death decisions. But on a quiet Tuesday morning in September 1967, something happened inside those gates that would leave three experienced agents stunned and would force them to rethink everything they believed about talent, preparation, and the quiet abilities people sometimes hide behind public personas. The man at the center of this unbelievable moment was none other than Dean Martin. To the world, Dean was the smooth crooner with the relaxed smile, the entertainer who charmed audiences as part of the legendary Rat Pack and starred in films produced by Paramount Pictures. Nobody walking past a theater marquee with his name on it would imagine that one day he would be standing inside a federal tactical training room surrounded by agents and electronic timing equipment. Yet on that morning, that was exactly where he was. The reason behind his presence was a little-known program inside the Bureau known as the Hollywood Security Initiative. The idea, launched in the mid-1960s, was simple but surprisingly strategic. Celebrities moved through international circles with ease. They attended global events, mingled with diplomats, performed in foreign countries, and often gained access to places and conversations that were difficult for traditional intelligence officers to enter. In certain situations, someone with fame and influence could gather insights or information simply by being present. Because of his worldwide popularity and connections across the entertainment industry, Dean Martin was selected for evaluation. Not because anyone suspected secret talents, but because his public reputation suggested he could be useful in limited intelligence situations during international travel. The evaluation was supposed to be routine. Special Agent Robert Crawford, a veteran with extensive military experience, was responsible for conducting the assessment. Alongside him were two highly trained colleagues, Agent Michael Torres and Agent Patricia Holloway. All three had spent years working in high-pressure environments and were used to evaluating individuals for security clearance. When they reviewed Dean's file that morning, nothing seemed unusual. "Typical entertainer profile," Torres said while flipping through the paperwork. "Nightclubs, television, film appearances, no military background. Probably just nervous about being inside a federal facility," Holloway added. Crawford nodded. "Should be straightforward." When Dean arrived at the Quantico compound that morning, he looked exactly as they expected. Relaxed, polite, and dressed neatly in a business suit, he walked through the checkpoints with the same calm demeanor he carried on stage. "Mr. Martin," Crawford greeted him during the initial interview, "thank you for cooperating with this evaluation. It's standard procedure for individuals being considered for limited security clearance." Dean smiled casually. "Happy to help, though I have to admit, this isn't my usual Tuesday morning." The first part of the assessment unfolded exactly as planned. Background verification showed nothing suspicious. Psychological evaluations confirmed that Dean was stable, cooperative, and trustworthy. In scenario discussions about potential international security situations, he answered calmly and logically. Everything suggested the evaluation would conclude quickly. Then the agents introduced the final stage, stress response testing. Inside a specialized training room used for agent preparation, electronic sensors, simulation equipment, and tactical response systems filled the space. Dean looked around with curiosity. "Impressive setup. This is where federal agents train for real-world threats," Crawford explained with quiet pride. Torres began running basic reaction time tests. Lights flashed, buzzers sounded. Dean responded to each stimulus by pressing buttons or identifying visual cues. His performance was good, but not extraordinary. "Solid results," Holloway said. "Most civilians find this environment intimidating." Dean shrugged slightly. "It's different from singing in a nightclub, but interesting." It was at that moment that Torres made an offhand remark that would unexpectedly change the direction of the entire evaluation. "Of course," he said casually, "reaction time training like this is mostly academic for someone in your profession. Entertainers rarely deal with situations requiring split-second physical response." Dean tilted his head slightly. "Is that what you think?" Torres smiled politely, assuming the comment was harmless. "Well, yes. Your profession is built around rehearsed environments," Crawford added thoughtfully. "The skills we train here, tactical awareness, rapid decision-making, weapon response, they take years of specialized training." Dean remained quiet for a moment. Then he asked a simple question. "What if I told you I've had some training you don't know about?" The agents exchanged quick glances. Claims like that weren't unusual during evaluations. Many people overestimated their abilities. "What kind of training?" Crawford asked carefully. "The kind that might surprise you," Dean replied calmly. Torres chuckled softly. "Federal tactical response is very specialized." Dean nodded thoughtfully. "Would you like to see what level I'm actually at?" After a brief discussion, the agents decided to proceed with a controlled tactical test. It was the same scenario used to evaluate new agent candidates, a timed response to simulated threats using electronic measurement equipment. Before Dean attempted the test, Agent Torres demonstrated the expected standard. Torres held the Academy record for response speed, 0.34 seconds from threat recognition to target engagement. His performance was flawless, smooth, precise, perfectly controlled. That's world-class timing, Crawford explained proudly. Dean watched with genuine admiration. That's incredible speed. Then he stepped forward. He stood casually at the station, almost relaxed, as if he were about to begin a stage rehearsal rather than a federal tactical test. Holloway prepared the timer. Whenever you're ready. The moment the signal activated, Dean moved. None of the agents truly saw the motion. They only saw the result. The electronic timer displayed a number so shocking that for a moment nobody spoke. 0.16 seconds, nearly half the existing record. Torres stared at the display in disbelief. That's impossible. But the speed was only part of the shock. Every shot had landed perfectly on target. Absolute precision. Dean calmly secured the weapon and looked toward the agents. Fast enough? The room remained silent. Crawford leaned closer to the timing monitor. Our equipment must be malfunctioning. But the system had just been tested minutes earlier. Torres shook his head slowly. Run it again. Dean repeated the test. The results were nearly identical. Torres whispered quietly. That's beyond anything we've ever measured. Finally, Crawford asked the question everyone was thinking. Mr. Martin, how long have you been practicing? Dean answered without hesitation. About 18 years. The agents stared at him. 18 years, Holloway repeated. 5 or 6 hours a day when I have time, Dean added casually. The realization slowly settled over the room. While the agents had assumed he was just a famous entertainer, Dean Martin had quietly spent decades developing reflexes and control that surpassed the Bureau's own training benchmarks. For the next 2 hours, the evaluation expanded into the most detailed tactical assessment the facility had ever conducted. Reaction speed, precision, stress control, every test confirmed the same thing. Dean's abilities weren't just impressive, they were extraordinary. Finally, Crawford spoke. Mr. Martin, what you demonstrated today may require classification. Classification? Dean asked. Torres explained carefully. Capabilities like this could attract serious interest from foreign intelligence agencies. We can't risk that information becoming public. Dean listened thoughtfully. Within minutes, the agents began preparing official reports under restricted security protocols. Access would be limited to only a small number of federal officials. Before Dean left the facility, Crawford offered a sincere apology. We underestimated you. Dean waved it off with a friendly smile. People usually see what they expect to see. Torres then made an unexpected request. Would you consider consulting with the Bureau? Your training methods could benefit our agents. Dean paused for a moment. Then he laughed softly. I think I'll stick to singing.